Hello, my friends. Today we need to start with Trump's statement. He had a phone conversation with Putin, and as always, Putin told him everything as if everything is fine and Russia wants peace.
A timeline or a date set for when?
I would say within 2 weeks or so, pretty quick. Marco Rubio is going to be meeting with his counterpart, as you know, Lavrov, and they'll be meeting pretty soon. They're going to set up a time and a place very shortly. Maybe it's already set up. They've already spoken. And I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive. But I'll be meeting with President Putin, and we'll make a determination. Tomorrow I'm meeting with President Zelensky, and I'll be telling him about the call. We're going to be meeting in Hungary. Viktor Orban is going to be hosting. Who would think I did Middle East before I did this? We did a total of 8 now, 7 and now 8. And we're going to make this number 9.
We can only hope that Zelensky will manage to convince Trump, because it looks like after his talk with Putin, Trump is now reluctant to send Tomahawks to Ukraine. So he also commented on the long-range missiles.
Well, we talked about it a little bit, didn't say much, but I do say to you, we need Tomahawks for the United States of America, too. We have a lot of them, but we need them. I mean, we can't deplete for our countries.
President Putin tried to dissuade you from sending Tomahawk this.
Well, of course. What do you think he's going to say? Please sell Tomahawks?
But did you give
Is he going to say, please sell those Tomahawks? I really appreciate it. I did actually say, would you mind if I gave a couple of thousand Tomahawks to your opposition? I did say that to him. I said it just that way. He didn't like the idea. He really didn't like the idea. No, I said it that way. You have to be a little bit lighthearted sometimes, but no, he doesn't want Tomahawk is a vicious weapon. It's a vicious, offensive, incredibly destructive weapon. Nobody wants Tomahawks shot at him.
As you can see, he's already saying that they need them too, so most likely he won't transfer them to Ukraine. Today, Zelensky has already arrived in Washington, so now we are waiting for the results of his talks with Trump. But it's important to know that the Kremlin stated it was Putin who called Trump, and specifically right before tomorrow's meeting with Zelensky. That suggests Putin got nervous about the possibility of Trump approving the transfer of Tomahawks to Ukraine and decided to interfere with those plans.
A special focus during the phone call was placed on the Ukrainian crisis. Vladimir Putin gave a detailed assessment of the current situation, emphasizing Russia's interest in achieving a peaceful, political, and diplomatic resolution. He noted that during the special military operation, the Russian armed forces fully control the strategic initiative along the entire front line. Under these circumstances, the Kyiv regime resorts to terrorist methods, striking civilian and energy infrastructure targets, to which we are forced to respond accordingly. Donald Trump repeatedly emphasized the need to restore peace in Ukraine as soon as possible. Notably, one of the main points made by the American president was that ending the conflict in Ukraine would open tremendous, he stressed, tremendous opportunities for U.S.-Russia economic cooperation. Both sides, by the way, spoke about the deep mutual sympathy between the peoples of both countries, which was clearly demonstrated during World War II. It was emphasized that the current state of bilateral relations looks paradoxical in this context. The topic of potential supplies of long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine was also discussed. Vladimir Putin reiterated his position that Tomahawks wouldn't change the situation on the battlefield, but would significantly harm relations between our countries, not to mention the prospects for a peaceful settlement. Against this backdrop, it's worth noting that the presidents discussed the possibility of another in-person meeting. It was agreed that representatives of both countries will promptly begin preparations for a summit, which could be held, for example, in Budapest. Separately, it should be mentioned that our president praised the personal efforts of U.S. First Lady Melania Trump in reuniting Russian and Ukrainian children with their families and asked the U.S. president to convey his warmest wishes to her. Overall, I would say the phone contact between the presidents of Russia and the United States was very useful, and both leaders agreed to stay in touch.
Friends, be sure to share your thoughts about all these in the comments. Meanwhile, Trump has already drifted under Putin's influence, claiming that a new direct meeting with him will bring good results. Trump said that his meeting with Putin in Alaska laid the groundwork. He again stated that he inherited this war from Joe Biden and now wants to end it, not for the US but for Europe. Trump also said that the war in Ukraine could have led to World War III. In short, Trump still hasn't realized that Putin is deliberately stalling for time and doing it very well. At the same time, Ukraine continues to strike inside Russia. Yesterday, a new drone attacks were recorded in Nizhny Novgorod region, hitting another oil refinery. So while Trump keeps believing Putin, Russia's weakening through Ukrainian drone strikes goes on. Let's move on to the situation along the front line, starting with the Dobropillia direction. Here, the Ukrainian Armed Forces managed to repel a motorized assault near the village of Shahove. This is a very important point since many claimed that Russian forces were surrounded there. But as we can see, in the areas of Novotoretsk and Mayak, the Russians were able to move through using vehicles and motorcycles to launch attacks on Shahove. This once again proves that Russian logistics in this area remain intact, allowing them to bring in reinforcements and continue new assaults. They're also attacking Nikhanorivka and Volodymyrivka. So far, the General Staff of Ukraine hasn't confirmed the loss of these settlements, although Russian sources claim they are already under their control. In the Pokrovsk direction, the Russians continue assaults on Novoekonomichne, Promень, and Lysivka. Fighting is ongoing near Chunishine on the outskirts of Pokrovsk as well as near Udachne and Zvirove. The level of Russian activity remains high, and despite their claims, there is no confirmation of the loss of Novopavlivka or the village of Balagan near Marnograd. So, as of the past 24 hours, the front line remains unchanged. In the Novopavlivka direction, Russian forces are trying to break through in the area of Horihove and are assaulting Dachne, Ivanivka, Alexandrograd, and advancing near Zelený High. However, over the past 24 hours, there have been no major changes as the Ukrainian forces continue to repel all attacks. In the Pokrovsk direction of Dnipropetrovsk region, yesterday Russian forces advanced to Oleksiivka across the fields. Today, however, the map was updated. Ukrainian troops pushed the Russians back by 2 kilometers and 600 meters. There are also ongoing assaults on Sosnivka, Oleksiivka, Novomykolaivka, and Russian forces are trying to break through near Novogrigorivka. Activity here remains very high, and as we can see, the front line is changing daily. In the Huliaipole direction, Russian forces are assaulting Poltavka from two sides. Fighting is also ongoing near Malinivka, but over the past 24 hours there have been no changes, and the Ukrainian forces continue to hold the line. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, Russian forces are trying to advance near Stepove, Kamiansk, and Plavny. However, they are still unable to break through and move forward. The Ukrainian troops are actively repelling them and all their assaults and in losses. In the Kherson direction, Russian forces continue attacks near the Antonivsky Bridge and are heavily shelling the entire right bank, but so far they haven't advanced, and over the past 24 hours there have been no changes. In the Kostiantynivka direction, Russian forces are assaulting Protechina and trying to break through near Bila Hora, Pleshiivka, Klebenbyk village, and Rusin Yar. Activity remains high, but so far the Russians haven't made further progress. As before, their complete capture of Klebenbyk hasn't been confirmed, and the general staff reports that fighting is still ongoing there. In the Siversk direction, Russian forces continue assaults on Yampil and Dronivka and are trying to break through toward Siversk, near Vyemka and Fedorivka. Activity remains high, but because there have been no new advances in the last few days, the front line has been stabilized. The Ukrainian forces are successfully holding their defense and repelling new attacks. In the Lyman direction, Russian forces are advancing near Kolodezi, assaulting Drobosheva and Novoselivka. Activity here has slightly decreased, and the Russians are bringing in new reserves for the next attacks on Lyman. In the Borova direction, Russian forces are not conducting new assaults, and the situation has stabilized for now. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians continue street fighting in the city and are advancing toward the southern part. The situation is catastrophic, and there is essentially no clear front line due to ongoing urban combat. Additionally, the Russians are assaulting Petropavlivka and pushing through the area near Stepovanova-Selivka. Over the past day, there have been no significant changes, but the situation remains extremely difficult. In the Dvorichna direction, Russian forces are assaulting Kutkivka, but they have had no success and the front line remains unchanged. In the Velykyi Burluk direction, the Russians are advancing toward Kolodezny and assaulting Bolohivka and Odradne. But over the past day, there have been no changes and all attacks are being successfully repelled. In the Kharkiv direction, shelling of Kharkiv continues, but there are no offensive actions along the front line, and the situation remains stable. In Vovchansk, fighting continues. The Russians are assaulting the village of Tykhe and Vovchansky Hutory, but they have had no success, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Sumy direction, there are no new assaults and the situation has stabilized. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.